Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. My name is Evan Rayner. That's William Newberry.
Hashtag birthday boy.
Hashtag birthday boy. I know how to say things. And, of course, that's my job, so I'm good at it. And let's move along to the limited words.
Isn't it the worst feeling in the world? When you, like, it's literally, like, I will be talking to Katie after the day is done, and I will mess a sentence up, like, 4 times in a row, and I'll pause, and I'll look at it. I'm like, I talk for a living. I literally talk for a living.
I talk for a living. It's like talk for...
It gets even worse when you mess that sentence up.
There it is. Then you're like, wow, I can't even say the joke I was trying to say. Eventually, if we joke enough, they will go to the map screen without us, and that's what I love. Bright Marsh here. Map number 1, Na'Vi and NIP. So let's set the stage for all of you who are just joining us here, who happen to just spring into Paladins esports viewing, and we're like, I'm driving down the street. 2 minutes ago? Oh my God, I forgot. It's the EU PPL. Fnatic just got swept by NIP. That was a tremendously exciting set. And definitely one that threw us all off here, threw us for a loop at the office. I'm sure threw a lot of pro players who were watching for a loop and threw the entire region for a loop because now Fnatic have 2 losses. NIP are like bridging the gap between second and first place. And now if they win this, I mean, they're going to give the top 2 teams 2 losses here this week.
I mean, it's already one thing to be able to take down Fnatic, which, again, you're messing with the natural order of Europe as of the way things have been. So you're finally taking that step forward. And I think that's going to be the big difference. I'm actually curious to see what changes in this set in terms of drafting as well as the maps. Just because Drogas was incredibly important to NIP during that last set. But you never want to give Makoa away to a team like Na'Vi or Fnatic if that was given an option.
But you know what? Look at this. Look at Navi's draft. And just last game, couldn't you imagine that being NIP? I mean, that was how they drafted all the time. You know, Fnatic let the Inara Drogas go for whatever reason. And then you would see something like a Fury if she was available. You might see the Ying there. And then you see the Ruckus, right? I mean, this is what NIP were doing. Literally NIP. So now, here's what I think. Big picture, because we'll watch the draft, but I want to say this comment. I feel like NIP did what Na'Vi are doing to Fnatic. And I think that's why Fnatic are susceptible. But Na'Vi are the ones who did it first. And I think they are very, very smart in the draft, have a lot of respect. And NIP seem to be changing themselves to deal with the top dogs.
It kind of goes back to what we were talking about, actually, just last week, maybe a couple weeks ago, when we were talking about the way meta can develop.
Yeah.
And the way that when you see a team like Fnatic do something, immediately anybody in the PGS, anybody who's playing casuals, like, you just pick it up because you're like, if Fnatic can do it, we can do it.
Right.
But when you're in a competitive environment, if you play Fnatic at Fnatic's meta, you are literally saying, we are emulating what you have piloted. Like, you are the ones who have driven this into occurrence. And so you're never going to be quite as good. Sometimes you can enhance the original, but it always felt like that's where teams were falling back. And I feel like this is kind of the case right now with NIP and Na'Vi. NIP is like budget Na'Vi, at least in terms of draft.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. How do you get to that point where you consistently are either trading your frontline preference or, you know, I think NIP, looking at it in Europe especially, they're really comfortable getting a first pick Makoa. I think you feel like you still are okay in that draft. You've got a healer, and everyone looks comfortable. But Na'Vi just look like they've got the key. You know, they've got the key. And right now, NIP are going to have to do a little bit more work, I would imagine. Phoenix taking the high ground here with the Ruckus. Already hit some of the missile launcher. And the poke battle, you know, no one's won it quite yet. Phoenix getting healed up by Spunky. Bonker getting healed up by Bird. But he's by a clone. And so as these rockets continue to go off cooldown, Natus Vincere still has some work to do. Although they've got 33% on the objective thus far.
As long as they can hold on to it. And this is kind of where their draft, I think, is going to excel. Lazy can just walk up to the point. Phoenix is going to be able to play kind of like Sentry Turret to Lazy. And as long as they just get a couple percent at a time, like, Lazy doesn't have to overcommit. If he feels like he's in danger, he can just walk right out. It's not a big, I guess, commit for them. 48% is perfect to be able to hold on to, but with First Blood going over onto Creators, Mutu gets a trade out. Lazy picking up one, though. That's when things start to swing heavily in favor of one side.
And this is what I love to see. This is why Lazy is basically the best Inara in the world right now for me, is the way he's playing. 2 kills in that fight. And it's I know it's killing blows. You know, in Smite, you might get called that for kill stealing. But in Paladins, those kills, they're really easily turned into a guy goes around the corner and gets a full heal. You know, I really am so impressed by his ability to just make sure that he's contributing damage, but also holding the point. His decisions are smart. He's saving his earthing guard for the right times. The dead zone, I mean, it's being applied. it's not making much of a difference. Natus Vincere pretty much 100-0 that one.
You know, I think a lot of people will also, I want to say, kind of laugh at some supports. That was a little dirty, Mutu.
Disrespect!
Doing it to Diggy Dog.
Oh! He almost got him. Fire Spit. One more shot might have put Gruncy on the dirt.
Being able to set that up, but the thing that they've been able to do, Mutu being able to switch onto the Drogos, that was actually phenomenal for this team when he started being able to pick up champions, a little bit more blaster play coming out from him. But having Lazy as a front line, having Phoenix being able to flex onto some of those off front lines, you typically see, I think, a frontline player is, haha, they're frontline, they can't aim, they can't do the damage, so they can't play like the Kinesses and stuff. And Nara, if you aim, I mean, that's 600 health every single time she hits all 3 pellets. And that is honestly not an easy weapon to fire. The spacing feels a little different than other weapons, so you have to get accustomed to it. But if you're looking at Lazy, I mean, he's doing 2,400 damage in a lot of these engagements. When he hits 1 shot left in that clip, he has been doing 2,400 damage every single time. And then you set up Leon, you set up Drogos, you even set up Moldamba to be able to come in and clean up a kill because you're just having that big of an impact.
Yeah, and I mean, it's truly a lot of damage if she's contributing a full clip. And a lot of these front lines, a lot of these players, that's where you start to throw off their TTKs because you're not thinking, I'm fighting against a Leon, I'm fighting against an Androxus, I'm fighting against a Drogos. I know how long it takes for those players to kill me, but when Lazy's contributing that damage, it's a little bit different up into the air. I don't know if he's going to kill this Willow. Look at the jukes. Mutu just staying alive. That's the goal. And still cannot be found. Diggy Dog doing his best. 1, 2. Oh, but now he gave up the high ground. Anakin, no. Phoenix finds 2, and Spunky finds another. Diggy Dog falls just like that.
And that literally felt the exact same as the scene you're referencing, where it's just like, all you need to do is hit these shots. All you have to do, you just have to kill Obi-Wan, but it never works out that way. You switch the positioning, and he actually gets close. You can see him trying to close the space because he knows he can hit more shots that way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that makes it a lot easier for Mutu as well. You lock yourself in a position, and just like that, even though you can 3-0 Fnatic, maybe Na'Vi aren't quite the team to take down yet.
And maybe what we're looking at is this draft. Maybe the draft is the fact that, Na'Vi are manipulating a draft that NIP manipulated against Fnatic. That these champions here work so well, and you could sub the healer out. But if you have a little bit of the core, if you have the Inara, if you have this Drogos piloted by a great player, if you have this kind of off-tank with sustain, more of a traditional Paladins lineup, I think, in the original kind of form of the game and intention, you are beating some of these more wonkier lineups. Not to say that NIP are playing anything wonky. They're playing something very, very similar, but they're, like you mentioned, budget. It's the Makoa on point sustain, Barrack on point sustain. Nobody's quite as good as Inara. As far as burst damage and consistent damage, although Makoa brings so much with displacement, no one quite as good as Ruckus. But Gruncy doesn't care about that. Beautiful play from him to start it out. And a Dome Shield. Wow, NIP totally turning the tide here.
Being able to drop a Dome Shield on Makoa's already kind of Dome Shield-esque shield.
Yeah.
Being able to come through. A heavy commit to keep him alive, but it does work out so far. Gruncy going to be able to get aggressive. Koa going to be able to get aggressive. In the front lines, they don't need to stand on the point if they can just both be off tanks. And right now, a beautiful hook. Phoenix is going to go down. They're bullying Na'Vi at the base.
Yeah, great play here from Gruncy to turn it around and rampaging all the way. Don't need Dwayne Johnson for this flick. He's plenty equipped with the anchor and the Chinese-themed skin with a little bit of the cuddly Makoa anchor and gun. Cannon. 2 minutes, 18 seconds. Now NIP in control, pushing. That was a nice aggressive start. I like that they took it to Na'Vi. A completely different feeling to this game right now.
Being able to get aggressive is probably the biggest thing, and Na'Vi didn't expect it. I think that's the other thing. Lazy last time was kind of standing on the point. He'd step on it for a little bit, step off, step on, step off.
They gave a lot of respect.
Everybody else is sitting up on the high ground, getting a lot of vision, making sure that NIP are kind of locked in engagements all around the point, but never on the point. That time, NIP runs straight up to Phoenix and just tell him to get out of here because we want this ground. They take a little bit more room and they hold on to it. Unfortunately,
the sacred ground, darling.
You only get a little bit, I'd say, out of all of that. They've been pushed back pretty hard, considering the way Na'Vi. I mean, this is a defense.
It certainly is.
I wonder if Na'Vi got the memo.
I wonder if they did either.
Someone captured a payload. I mean, we're pushing something.
It's us, right? They're pushing NIP back, that's for sure. You'll see this with comeback mechanics sometimes, and I mean, still, it was 50% Lazy. chose to stay on the objective and capture. It was just Na'Vi who could not get by, and that's one of the things Makoa brings. That Ancient Rage is just, you just can't do anything about it. There's not enough time to kill a turtle with 10,000 health who can also kill you in a couple of shots. There's just not enough time. And it's kind of like an Aura. There's sometimes not enough time, but an Aura's always that. Makoa's that with the ult, and that's where sometimes ease of use becomes the issue. Swinging in, nice hook there, but he's standing in a gourd, and that's Spunky just being at the right space at the right time. And Na'Vi are still relentless in this push.
You saying that gave me some nightmare flashbacks to Burn Monster on a Makoa with an ult, where it's just
Oh,
that
no.
10,000 health. When you start looking at percent damage,
Oh, no.
your health bar goes down incredibly fast. It is probably the roughest feeling, one of the roughest experiences I think I've had in Paladins. Is just when you pop that ult, you feel like you're immortal. You can go in, you're demolishing people. And then that one Tyra who just happens to be standing to the side decides that that's going to stop right now.
That's going to stop at this moment. Phoenix here with a double kill. Na'Vi have looked dominant, man. Let's look at the KDAs here.
Killing it.
They are killing it. I will say that. 13-7, 7-2, 9-6, 10-4, 3-3, and 24. Luckily, though, healers get eliminations off of healing people who also get eliminations or kills. So nothing to take away from Spunky. Just something to note, which is why that number is so big.
Honestly,
Doubling Ying's healing as well.
I actually feel like Spunky is one of the players that if you go back to before you would get eliminations as a support for healing someone who gets an elimination, I still feel like he could get a slash line like that because he is always being able to hit stuns. He always gets just one, maybe two shots in there. And again, it's not a huge chunk of damage. Lazy hitting one shot doesn't make a huge difference, but it's still a small difference. That might be one less shot that Mutu has to fire. That might be one less shot Creatives has to worry about. And having that impact across your front lines and supports makes that big difference. And I think that's part of the problem. Right now, I do see this Makoa having a time of his life in terms of damage, but I don't really see anybody else up there with Cruncy.
And I like how they're playing Bodyguard. And remember, a lot of this did not go the way of NIP as far as the push because of that Diggy Dog moment. He could not deal with Mutu. But now Mutu with the Dragon Punch. I like the flutter. He's going to avoid it. Beautiful stuff there from Diggy Dog. Mutu hits a fading fire spit. And Koa, in the meanwhile, finding Spunky on the objective. Cruncy trying to rampage through, and he is going to bring out the anchor, and he's going to go for Mutu. He doesn't have the hook. He misses that one, and now it's Lazy on the point. Still 75% in counting door. He's now just been uprooted.
And I actually love Phoenix. He pulls out the Hexafire. He gets a little bit of damage. The minute Lazy goes down, cancels, dashes in, gets aggressive. Unfortunately, it's not working out for him. Diggy Dog going to be able to pick up the kill right there, but I mean, Na'Vi are in this good position to potentially close this out. I mean, 75%. All they need is one big kill, and that will swing this back in their favor.
100% on the Dragon Punch, and you would expect it to come through here. He's going to wiggle. And oh my goodness, what? During that time, I mean, I wonder if Na'Vi were surprised as we were. The objective was still being captured. It just took too long. And that's the comeback mechanic for you, ladies and gentlemen. NIP. Keep in this game. A lot of it due to good work from Cruncy and great capture from Koa, who find the kill on the Phoenix and now find one on the Spunky.
It's an odd term of measurement, but NIP was pretty much exactly one Dragon Punch channel away from being able to grab that point, and that's all the time they needed. And Cruncy being able to dash out right there, being the distraction he was, I feel like that's where you're looking at. You're like, man, this Makoa's causing us trouble. He's the reason we keep getting zoned out as hard. He's hooking Phoenix. He's causing a lot of issues when he gets in our face and does an Ancient Rage. We need to get rid of him the entire time. 79, 84. Like, it's just going up and up and up on the point. Na'Vi normally going to be able to focus on that, but there is going to be times you can pick him up, and then you just get this moment.
Yeah, and it's a very, very strong kind of, I think, statement that NIP are capturing more objectives, getting more points against Na'Vi than Fnatic were getting against them. I mean, you have to look at, even though Fnatic got 3-0'd, it was 4-1 pretty much every game, and it didn't go beyond that. And so I look at NIP and I say maybe you don't have the draft that was working against Fnatic, but it seems like you do have the right mentality, you have the right camaraderie, your players are playing well enough to where you're still there. You're not going to give this one up easily, and Na'Vi are working hard for this win, man. It seemed like it was going to be a stroll in the park, but another zone must be completed.
46 seconds left, and as of right now, I'm not sure NIP I mean, they have a lot in their arsenal to be able to push back this point. They almost have the Ancient Rage. They do have the Fade Flight, which can give a lot of ground in and of itself if Willow is played properly. But with the way things have been going, I feel like Digidog hasn't felt truly safe in this entire matchup. He's always either getting hit or chased down by Mutu. If he goes up in the air for too long, Leon Creatives is going to be able to take him down. So you have to approach this incredibly carefully. But unfortunately, when you have to be that cautious against a team like Na'Vi, you usually don't gain any ground.
Yeah, I think this Drogo's play for Mutu is phenomenal. And I think that has continued to be a big difference. Dragon Punches typically do make the difference in sets and in small moments. And it seems like they've been able to avoid that for the last couple of rounds. Dragon Punch whiffing onto Digidog. Dragon Punch whiffing onto Cruncy. Overtime here now for Na'Vi and NIP. Na'Vi still defending. NIP with Bonker firing away. But it's just not the same. There's just too much pressure. Somersault will activate. Find the kill, but it will be yet again a stalemate here on the push.
A lot that NIP have done right, at least in regards to the push, or the point. Not so much right in terms of the push. Unfortunately, it's just moments like that.
Yeah.
Creatives gets a double kill. Mutu can pick up 1 or 2. Lazy, at this point, is 11, 4, and 20. He's having his hand in a ton of these eliminations.
Incredible.
Just being able to set this up, you can feel, I think, the impact more or less of the comeback mechanic. I mean, look at NIP. There's only one person who's even on that team. Everyone else is negative. Versus Na'Vi, who has one person even, everyone else is positive. It's literally the opposite coming out from then. And that is just the power, I think, of the comeback mechanic. Being able to find that first fight has been a strength for NIP, but I don't know if they would ever be able to hold that second fight. This is going to be a good round to actually see how well they can hold back Na'Vi.
We really wanted to get rid of Barrack Sustain whatsoever. Record 3 is invested by 2 members, and it's not just because of the death and taxes. You don't have to invest in a Record 3 unless you have a true purpose to try and get rid of those shields. He's going again, and oh, finally connects mid-air. Mutu is going to take out the fairy, and Digidog will fall, and now this is Natus Vincere winning this point fight clearly. This could be the game. And IP have to regroup, try and find a way to get back. 66% counting now, Koa. Oh, and too many headshots here. Dome shield in a very odd location just to stay alive, and I think that's going to be it. Na'Vi look like they're going to take game 1.
I mean, at the tail end of it, that looks exactly like the same screen that I think we've been seeing from Na'Vi the entire game. Like, every single time NIP would capture a point, we saw Na'Vi in the same spot they were when they captured a point. It didn't matter. Their line of fight, their line of scrimmage, I guess, for it, never really left 75% of the map away from where their base was. Like, they were always in NIP's hometown, and they made it their own.
They truly did. It's kind of what I like about NIP and what I like about Na'Vi. They tend to be willing to make adjustments, and they tend to be willing to, if something's working, stick with it and believe in themselves to get things done. Fnatic, a whole different conversation here for today, and obviously we all knew that this was going to happen. They needed to make some adjustments. It's all about the land wins online, just a matter of getting there. But Na'Vi, definitely the team that's been in the middle of their stroll down the park of what has been the European PPL. That one, though, got a little bit of wind. Maybe walked near a park that was getting hit by Florence. And it definitely felt gusty. Just was not quite the center of the storm as they were able to make it out, save it out.
And a lot of the trouble, I mean, it comes down to Mutu, right? That actually initial kill, being able to get rid of Digidog at the very beginning.
Yeah,
you get rid of that dead zone presence, makes it a lot easier for Lazy to hang around. And he's just been on point. And again, this is a guy known for his flicks. You add in the fact that he knows how to use this rocket launcher, and it makes him incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, just great play. This is the one we were talking about. Just sends him over, use the flutter to get up. Beautiful stuff there. And he actually might have died as he was falling, and his body just kept falling into the ocean. I'm not sure he died because he got knocked off, but it was close. This one was just a cat's breath? Is that a saying, Gore?
It can be. Coin it now.
All right, it was a cat's breath away from missing. You know, I'm living with a cat right now. It's not mine. Just thought I'd say that. It's a funny cat.
Story time with Evan Rayner.
Yeah, you know.
I'm living with a cat. It's not mine.
Yeah, it's the roommate's cat. It's funny.
I'm living with a dog that is mine. Well, I guess technically she's
That's
under
not a story.
Katie's name.
It's not a story.
So it's not officially mine.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
But
Who's
she's
the
still
father?
my dog.
I'm just kidding. Back more for the young and the dogless. No, I'm the young and the dogless, I guess.
I'm the young and the catless.
Which daytime soap would last longer?
Young and the dogless.
Young
It's got
and the
more
dogless,
drama,
yeah,
I feel like, in
absolutely.
that one.
Way more drama.
And it has a good name as well.
It does.
Young and the catless is just like, you don't have a cat. Who cares? Get out of here.
What if it was Young and the Katniss and it was like a spin-off of the Hunger Games?
It was the entire Hunger Games,
What if it,
as told by someone who wasn't actually in the Hunger Games. It's just someone who happens to see all of the exploits happening.
Yeah, that would have been boring.
Unfortunately, I can't remember the Hunger Games too well. I'm assuming whoever that's written from would get to see, like, they'd have book 1. They'd be able to watch all of that as it's broadcast. They'd get like the first half of book 2, and then I have a feeling that whoever it was being written from, that perspective would die. I can't remember enough about it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people died towards the latter half of that series.
Hey, listen, I didn't spoil anything for you guys. Blame Gormizer.
The books are old.
The
movies are old too at this point.
The books are old.
Catch up.
Can you still spoil things about Harry Potter, though? I don't think you can. I don't think you can tell me. I don't think you could be saying, oh, and here's what happens in book 6, you know? I don't think you could be saying that.
I can. I won't, but I can.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You want the ire of the internet? Talus here picked up for NIP. Interesting.
If I'm allowed to spoil Infinity War now, I can spoil Harry Potter.
Can you spoil? See, but
it's been a few months. It's out on. If it's out on Blu-ray, you can spoil it.
Wow. All right. Hot takes from
because you have
Gormizer.
no excuse for not seeing it anymore.
You're now the young and the spoiled. That's the daytime soap you'll
maybe
be on.
that's the young and the spoiled. I feel like that might already be a show.
It's Your Life, starring Gormizer.
I've seen My Apartment. I don't think I'm that spoiled.
Spoil. That's the what grips you. It's not. It's a play on words because it's all about how you spoil other things for other people.
Oh.
Wow.
By the way,
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
I caught on a little too late there.
Creative's running Big Game Cassie, and this is something we've seen actually since the change. It wasn't really a buff, but it was. It's consistent 850 damage from a certain range. You just play her like a sniper. It's very bursty. And you still have your blast shot, so you could really hit hard from range. Bird finds Mutu, which is a strange win. Must have been poked out, but Creatives takes down Bonker. And this Cassie is still alive. This range actually makes her a little bit more lethal, so if she gets a heal here, that's going to be rough for the rest of NIP. We have 45% counting on the objective now.
Crunchy getting aggressive, that's going to be Creatives, and you were mentioning the fact that it's after a certain range, it's going to be very, very bursty. Creatives not going to be hitting that range right there, and there's going to be a certain steps on this map that you could actually stand on and be able to find that, but it does feel kind of odd, I want to say, as a Stone Keep talent to be picked up, especially with the way things are going. Koa going to get another kill right there.
And, you know, this is where NIP I like, because in the draft, you know, they always have a strong choice. And I think that what happened is they allowed multiple things to be available. They allowed multiple threats to be available. And they're like, fine, let's just do it. Like, you get your threats, we'll get our threats. We believe our threats are better than your threats. And then they play it. And right now, the only thing that might save this 0.5 for Navi is Creatives making a huge play here. Lazy somehow still alive on the Barrack. Koa on the Inara. And Diggy Dog on this Drogos are enough to control the objective, create the space above and below. And it is NIP back in control.
You know, I'm starting to get a certain vibe from today's theme. A big theme, I guess. For
what,
the
Inara
PPL.
wins?
Inara, Ruckus.
Inara, Drogos. They all win together.
As long as those three, if you can get those three, you're going to be feeling pretty solid.
Are they all undefeated today? If they are on the same team, I think they've won every game.
I can't remember the draft from Game 3 of NIP versus Fnatic, but at least the other 4 games, 5 games at least at this point, that I've seen them all on, that has been the team finding the most success.
You know what? It might have been Drogos either banned or taken. I mean, that set was a blur, my friends. I definitely know that Drogos was not on Diggy Dog's hands in that last game. So it wasn't Drogos because we did the triple front line, and Diggy was on the Cassie. Boy, I mean, it feels like a yesteryear or it feels like it never happened. You know, NIP 3-0 Fnatic today. Yeah, did you realize that? I didn't. Minute 23 now here for NIP. Trying to 2-0 Navi on Stonekeep. This is a great start if you're a Ninjas and Pyjamas fan core. This house has to keep being successful, though. Is this the route? Does he just focus out the Barrack? It seems like it's doing a decent job, but getting pressured out himself.
Yeah, I think Bonker just has to be very, very careful with his own health pool where he's been going, because that's actually what caused him to be first blood, was in that area of trying to fight down the barrack. He's looking at the barrack, he's looking at the shield, he's burning the shield down instead of focusing his health bar, and because of it, he gets poked out either by Cassie or someone else. Right now, Creative's being able to showcase what she can accomplish in the right hands. But again, it's only a momentary lapse. It's going to be a pause. And this is very similar, honestly. I'm getting a very similar vibe that we got during the Fnatic NIP set, where it's just cool. You got a couple kills on the defense. That's going to usually award you a lot of time. What are you going to do next point fight?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is definitely what seems to be the issue. And part of it is that the space control. Drogoz is so good at controlling the higher element of the space, and even the middle element of the space, to where you have a front line who can exist on the point, he can exist below, but we don't often look at Paladins in these tiers. You know, you see Flight and Willow and Drogoz, and yes, they control the skies, they have their natural predators, but truly anywhere in a circular vacuum around the objective, Combustible Drogoz is just dominating and disrupting and making things hard. While stationary on the lower tier, Inara is just so consistent. And I think this is a very tough thing for a Barrack to handle. As you can see there, Natus and Vincere, despite having the con, simply do not have the sustain or the firepower to match what Digidog and Koa are bringing to the table.
An issue we've been mentioning about Barrack pretty much all day. Phoenix is going to get taken down by the Dragon Punch. Mutu does get the kill on the Digidog, but Overtime is still alive right now. Hexafire going to be coming out, and Cruncy, it doesn't even matter if he dies of how much space he just gains for his team.
Wow, Bonker, look at this, man. Finds Mutu. This is incredible. Spunky buying so much time. That was incredible from Spunky. Hopefully they don't have to use the Seismic Crash here. If they lose Bonker, things could be bad. The double kill here from Koa. Getting by the triple kill. Oh, boy. Look at that. That was a beautiful play coming through. NIP Bird with the stun to set it up. The triple kill from the Sagala, but Lazy is still here. Dome Shield not ready, and Bonker's going to go and use the true power to show NIP's true power against Na'Vi. It's a 2-0. Woo, but they worked hard.
Needed to do that at the end of it, just because it's that moment of everyone keeps jumping down. Like, they have respawn proximity. Every time we kill one, two more are falling off of this ledge, and there's just enough of a health bar because you had to kill Barrack, I think, twice in that engagement. Khan twice in that engagement. There was just enough time by them, and of course, Spunky being able to dance around. That was
the biggest thing that hurt them, yeah.
You need someone like Bonker to be able to just hold him in place for a little bit. Like, find the next person that's going to be leaving their base and stop them from getting down here. But that's a perfect example of how much damage Inara does and how much damage Ruckus can do.
Also, Bird, I mean, we have to give this guy a shout-out. He has not died, I don't know if at all, in this game. And that stun that he got onto Creatives, it was, okay, he died twice, never mind. But he basically got a stun onto Creatives that set up the triple kill for Koa. And when you can get the 1, 2, 3 fast, that's what allows you as an offensive team to actually be able to push those in. Because if you get 1, take your time, you get 2, all of a sudden, yes, you're right. The comeback favors the defensive team because they're right there by their base. The proximity to it is phenomenal. Seismic Crash a little early there in the Dome Shield, and that will just counter it out. Lazy's going to be safe, and now it's Na'Vi who's going to turn on the gas. He doesn't have the wall yet, but he's getting healed up. So 46% and counting. Phoenix maybe tries to engage, and now he's in trouble. Has the Commanders grab away just for safety.
Comeback mechanic, Digidog dying. I think both of these are going to be leaning very heavily in favor of Na'Vi, but that's going to be 2 big kills, 3 big kills in a row right there. Creatives and Phoenix going down, as well as Spunky. And poor Lazy just has to stand there and take it. There's nothing he can do other than hope that that turret's just going to be able to save his life.
I mean, he was working hard. He was working hard for that point. And Nars just shoot here, shoot here, shoot here, move a little here. He's dancing, ducking, diving, turret, shot, dash, everything, man. I mean, Lazy is doing his best, and it's working. It's buying time. That's what this is all about right now. Lazy just wants to not try to out-sustain, but just give Mutu a chance to do stuff like this. Punches Bonker into the face, and Na'Vi may have a chance here to turn it around.
Digidog going to be able to get a kill, but he does trade his life out for it. And Koa, I mean, Inara is tanky. Inara can live forever, but there's no way, I think, to walk through there. And unfortunately, Cruncy is just a second too late. But that's comeback mechanic again for Na'Vi. And this, I mean, again, I'm getting a very similar vibe to the first set right now. I'm thinking that NIP have a stronger draft, but there's just moments of lapsing where they're either in the wrong position or it's just comeback mechanic kind of forcing your hand. You have to come out. You can't take that cover anymore.
Oh, yeah. This is exactly how the games went with Fnatic Gore, because then they would defend. It'd be a 3-1. and then NIP would go and win this next point. Man, Creative sitting for 1,035, I believe. 918 now as a result of Haven. 1,080. Wow. With, that's got to be the Khan firing line there. It's just incredible talent. Synergy is spectacular here.
Not the only one who saw that 2100 pop up, right?
That's for the shield. Because of the wrecker.
Okay. I was like, I saw 2100 in there.
No,
I'm like,
I get it. It's good to know. I mean, those big shots are his wrecker counting and breaking down that ruckus emitter, basically just taking it away the second it almost pops up. But a ton of damage from him.
Keeps him locked down. That actually was a perfect example, seeing it from the ruckus point of view. See the emitter close out, and then immediately it popped off. And that is just going to be Mutu and the rest of the team being able to close it out. Actually, looking like they might be able to find a push. They've just staggered NIP perpetually from this fight. And it feels like they can't even step down. I mean, Bird was there. See Bonker there, but
there's 4 members.
They're too low.
Yeah, there's 4 members, and I think they know, give it up. We should have won that point, but Comeback Mechanic made it difficult. And again, we saw NIP and we saw Fnatic utilize this as well. Let the Comeback Mechanic be no longer a thing in our experience. Let's just fight them even. 2-2. And now the person who captures this objective is going to have a chance to push and win.
Point spawning in 15.
Phoenix having a pretty not great KDA game on that con. Usually he's so spectacular as far as finding kills, but 2 and 7 and 10.
Even the damage numbers coming out from the con aren't insane compared to where we normally see it. And he's not normally top of the charts. He's not even usually going to break the top half, but I mean, he's sitting very far low. Same thing actually really does go for Mutu on this Androxus.
Yeah.
Not impressive damage. A couple of impressive kills, I think, that have made the big difference, but
this is very un-Mutu.
It feels kind of like what we saw last week when the first 2 games, he just wasn't there.
I mean, great shots with the emitter is also great from Cruncy. And Koa's a perfect target. There's the overpower as well. Na'Vi want to finish him off. Mutu's missed a lot of shots, and he's also been very impatient. But they've really committed to hold this Cathedral. Normally, we'll even see Mutu just sit on his mount for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and this should be a dead Creatives. There it is. Cassie's gone. Bonker's in the back line. This is trouble.
Not often do you get the perfect literal punch into death right there, but now he's going to get aggressive. He has a lot of shred in terms of Bonker, and I love the way he's controlling this flow. And immediately he's back behind his team. He's ready to go back in. A Cursed Arm's going to come out. And it kind of feels like it was just thrown out in a panic.
And there's the seismic crash as well. This is when they want to move. Bird gets taken down. Mutu, the assassin. Oh, but Diggy Dog, he's right back at him. Double kill for the Dragon. Nobody better to hold this keep. Combustible, ready. Salvo, ready. He's got a Dragon Punch ready, too. Watch out. Na'Vi is going to have a hard time getting this one back if Diggy Dog has anything to say about it.
99% though is going to be huge when it comes into this fight. Na'Vi
there it is.
Only have to step on it for just a second, but you can get this kill started out as best as you can.
It was too powerful.
It was too powerful.
A little too powerful of a Dragon Punch there. We'll get right back to the game, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you bearing with us on that. But yeah, I mean, apparently that was the game-deciding moment. Everyone knew. It's like worlds collided. Timelines started to shift, and it was like you would live in a world where NIP hit this Dragon Punch, and you live in a world where they don't. So I can see why it's a big moment.
If you hit the right target here, then it makes
And who is the right target?
Phoenix. I think if you get rid of Khan, it makes it easy. You don't have to worry about Barrack. Barrack's easy to kill.
Spunky?
I don't think you have to worry too much about Spunky. I feel like if you can just get the one shot onto the Khan, then you can turn around. I mean, you're Drogas, right? So as long as you get a couple more shots, you know that you can deal with creatives, but Phoenix has been a bigger issue only because of his health bar. He's buying a lot of time. Spunky has also been buying a lot of time, so you have to kind of ride that fine line. I think either of them are going to be better than the other 3, but you do, I think, want to prioritize, I think, Phoenix overward, and I think that's exactly where he was aiming. But if you get Barrack, it kind of feels like you're not doing anything.
What if you get Mutu? How do you feel about getting somebody like an Androxus in these fights? I know the front lines and the supports tend to be getting the ire here, but what happens when you get the front line?
I feel like if you can kill off Mutu right here.
Mutu.
As much as he's not been having a spectacular performance, I still feel like it's okay, but it's only because of the turnaround potential, right? Like, if I look at like, I guess, potential energy coming down from Mutu, right? Versus what's actually being accomplished. It's not fully there, but it's hidden, right? If he just has a moment where he pops off, that will absolutely break the game for NIP, especially with 99% on the point. But I don't know if he's on your mind as the high priority target.
Well, the thing that makes me think maybe it might be a good idea is because you have, obviously, Diggy Dog, who's carrying such a load in this fight. I mean, he's
Yeah.
such a big difference maker as to why it's so difficult for Lazy, why those shields aren't effective. I mean, we talked about a lineup with no Drogoz in it and Barrack playing, and he seemed he looked a lot stronger because you have hit scan, you have just people trying to directly shoot the shields. There's no height advantage. There's no ability to get above him and do that damage.
Yeah.
Drogoz can be below him and still hit above him with that fire spit. It's one of the unique abilities in the game that can do that, and it displaces him very, very much. So maybe getting Mutu off, which is the natural predator to the only real threat to Diggy Dog right now, might actually help that point fight more. I think there's a lot of decisions to make. I'm not sure Diggy had an idea in his mind when he was going for that. We will be getting back into the game right now to see exactly where that Dragon Punch lands, if it lands at all. Huge moment here for NIP, and it seems like Diggy able to find Mutu. And it was Mutu, so it was the natural predator. But Phoenix, like you mentioned, Gore, ends up coming and cleaning him up. So will it be the right decision? Will NIP take the lead? It seems like so far Spunky has kept Phoenix alive. 1 second left to the battle shout. Here it comes. And there it is, just to keep himself alive. But the Cauterize is taken through. And all Mutu's back, but he has creatives, and only just creatives to keep this alive.
And now overtime taken around is going to go down instantly.
Wow.
NIP grab it before creatives can even touch. Unfortunate for him, and now, I mean, he's in the actual dead zone where he's going to die. There's no way to live through that kind of engagement.
Dead zone.
And NIP feeling comfortable. And like you had said coming into this round, this is the point where you can turn it. As long as you get this push, you win the game.
So it ended up being the right call. Interesting there. I do wonder what a world would have been like if Mutu's alive and he gets Khan. Because I think, Drogo is very vulnerable in that moment where he Dragon Punches and then tries to leave from that situation. And Mutu might have been able to snowball the rest of that fight. I like it. It ends up being Diggy Dog who, at the end of the day, kills Mutu yet again once he comes back. But here's the double kill. Bird and the Dragon, and that's 3. And man, oh man. Mutu back on his you-know-what.
The last time Mutu got a triple kill after having a relatively lackluster game, Na'Vi demolished the rest of the set. Don't know if anything like that is going to happen here. I feel like Mutu's in this iffy area where he's hitting some phenomenal shots, and then he's missing an entire clip. It's just like back and forth between where he is hitting and missing. And with that kind of performance, especially with the way that like Diggy Dog's playing, the way Bonker's playing, you can't rely on it to actually get you a point. You can't rely on it for a defense. And so NIP are still going to have a lot of control.
Trying to push on the left-hand side. Crunchy's been nice, silent, effective here. Really a lot of the focus has been on Koa. Crunchy really taking these fights by himself, but going into the back line to try and create space and to try and burst down flanks. Much harder for a Ruckus to use those rockets on an Androxus midair, but oh boy, the miniguns work just fine from a distance like that, and Lazy, he looks like he's going to go down here as well. Has to reload at the crucial moment, but Diggy Dog will pick him up. 30 seconds, almost all of Na'Vi wiped. Still quite a ways to go, but once you round this corner, Gore, it gets a lot easier.
200 round clip, and yet you still have to reload at the most important moment of the fight.
Come on!
Always feels rough when you're in that kind of scenario, but 15 seconds left. Overtime's going to be coming through, but this is an impossible arch, essentially, when it comes down to it. It's so difficult to go through. You have to burn down both front lines if you even want to start this. And you actually do get rid of Phoenix. Now you're going to be going for Lazy.
Interesting. I don't know if I like the decision there. I don't know if I like the decision there on the Lazy. I think he might have wanted to wait. This is something that's crucial, man. If they don't push this here, they just invested an ult. They invested 2 ults. They invested 3 ults. There's a lot. 4. Oh my god, they're going for it. NIP need to make this happen. It's 3-2. Can they tie it up with Na'Vi? Koa on the front line. The Inara has proven vital. It's a double kill for the new boy, Crunchy. Looking to find a triple kill. Hello, world. Hello, PBL. Ruckus is here, and he's here to save the day. He reloads again at the crucial time. But this time, he's already done enough. NIP tie it up versus Na'Vi.
Being able to bring it back like that is exactly what I would have expected. But again, I'm looking at the draft. So far, we have had very consistent strings being pulled today through Europe. And a lot of that is falling on the back of this Ruckus. Crunchy, that game was phenomenal. He was in proper positions the entire time. And again, kind of a silent killer. He's getting a lot of the damage that is then being cleaned up by Bonker, cleaned up by Diggy Dog, but he's still there just applying it. Never looked at. Everyone wants to kill Koa.
Great position. You got to say that, it was a draft that seemed to work from the very beginning to the end. Talus is one of those champions. I've been saying it from the beginning of the PPL, since we started back up in the fall. You're always going to get him. he's always available. He's not picked. He's not banned.
Yeah.
You can always grab him. Same as Zen. So Zen has already proven his worth, fallen away, but Talus is one of those, like Leon that I mentioned, that, you know, if you ever start to feel like you can work it, because it's free. So that's really up to NIP. Bonker's been one of the most consistent Talus players in all of the world and the professional leagues of Paladins. And Koa, man, this double kill, triple kill, that stun by Bird there, I mean, it was all just so brilliantly done, and he's fit in, you know, like a glove with this team.
And it just goes back to what we were saying, actually, in the last game, but about Lazy. Inara can do a lot of silent damage. Koa plays Inara perfectly there, gets the triple kill, impactful moments towards the tail end of it. But a lot of those kills weren't just, okay, I'm going to get a last hit here, a last hit there. It's, I'm chunking you down, I'm chunking you down. It's just that fire rate when everyone else is around, it's just enough to be able to lean it over towards him. Plus her ult, I mean, admittedly, is really impactful, and Koa used it tastefully that game.
Yeah, and I think that's a good word, tastefully, because, you know, it can have an impact. It also cannot. I mean, it has a literal impact. It's a seismic crash onto the ground, but it may not necessarily get the kills or turn the tide of a fight unless you have somebody who's able to follow up on it. It's really the stun, not the damage, that makes the biggest difference for Inara. So again, Na'Vi with the first pick, NIP now with the bans, but Koa taken away. Inara, will she be banned here? It's been a crucial point of victory for NIP and Na'Vi here. Na'Vi, they go the Stone Warden, they're giving up the Ruckus and the Drogos. And they're willing to do that.
I feel like Inara is probably the most consistent.
I think
key.
this should let you know how much people care about Inara, or they should care about Inara. This is the best team in basically the world.
Yeah.
This is the first pick. It's not a Barrack. It's an Inara. When she's available, you take her.
And not only that, but I feel like she's one of the ones that always gets overlooked. Of course, Makoa is going to be really good. I feel like Inara is better than Makoa. I personally prefer
meta,
Inara
I think so.
over her. I feel like that's been the case for me, at least for a long time, because, again, when you're looking at the objective-based game as opposed to how much can we control, Inara is just going to be able to stand there forever. Makoa can get you kills, but if you have a lackluster game as Makoa, you're going to feel the impact. If you have a lackluster Inara game, then your healer just has to do a little bit more work.
It's ease of use. Ease of use, baby. I mean, anybody can just be Inara, stand on the point. Not everybody can make it look as good as Lazy does or as Koa does or some of these guys, right? But you could stand there and you can press your right click. You sure can. You can press F.
You got to do this a lot with your mouse.
You could use Q, line it up. It's like playing Tetris. Everybody's done that before. It's not that hard. And she does it very, very well. The Ruckus paired again. I mean, going by our stat score, our caster stats,
Na'Vi should win.
Na'Vi should win.
But I will say I like the way NIP approach it. Because they're going for Drogos.
They get
grab
their Drogos. They get that.
But they grab the Androxus with it to make sure that they don't give that up. One, to Mutu, but also because of the natural predator nature, as well as the fact that it's Blitzstone Quarry. I feel like this is a good map for Androxus to be able to flank around, and he usually gets that back line. I expect to see Bonker kind of in Mutu and Creative's face a lot of this game.
Yeah. And really what I like is that both of these teams willing to make adjustments but not fully lose drafts, to where we saw, you know, when Fnatic pulled out the Maeve, or when Fnatic pulled out that last draft with the Victor and the Torvald, you were almost just like, I don't see how this really wins if everyone's playing like their names suggest they should play, right? If Bird's playing like Bird, if Lazy's playing like Lazy, I don't see how this is going to win. But at this point, I feel like Koa, if he plays really well on the Ashe, I mean, that could be a difference maker. Phoenix on his Ruckus, I mean, that could be a difference maker. You know, if everyone does their role, you know, this could be a very tight game, but Phoenix finding Bonker there and Bonker trading out with Phoenix, seems like they're evenly matched.
It does get rid of, I mean, threats on both sides. You don't have the Ruckus anymore, who's going to be a little harder to kill overall just because of his shielding. But you do save Mutu, you save Creatives, a lot of pain having to deal with an Androxus. But the good thing is that Koa, if he was able to live there, is a bully.
Yeah.
Ashe is a bully on this map. She can bully a lot in terms of traversal as well as just the damage area that she can cover.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, getting maybe too aggressive right there, but it's still stalling out and pushing back Na'Vi.
Ooh, did Mutu just kill Creatives? That presence fed that reversal, so he tried to hit him on the side, but that might have just hit him into his teammate. That is one of those where you do not like to see that. However, Na'Vi now feeling pretty good. Lazy only half health. Barrack still full health. I think Inara wins that battle, unfortunately, for the Barrack. Dragon Punch here, though. Diggy Dog definitely wins this battle against anybody. And there it is. Lazy's dead, but that's what happens when you go for the exposed front line. Smart play. Lazy backs up into an open space and makes it easy for Na'Vi to clean up the Dragon.
Stuck in this area where Na'Vi have 99%, but they just can't comfortably get back on the point. So you're having to give over a lot to NIP even though you're winning the fights. Bird going down, and now you have the extra healing. That's going to be a solid win for them as long as they can keep it alive. But again, Koa just bullying in the backline. This is what Ashe wants to do.
And I think if Ashe's ult charged faster, you may see, I mean, a pretty easy point fight won by NIP. But there's no one who can dive the backline. There's no one who can pressure out Mutu here. And there's no one who can take the role of frontline and not need healing until that Ashe ultimate comes online, because Bird got taken down through the dive from Phoenix. The Ruckus has proven to be just so good at diving backline threats, like supports, and even like flanks, that he gets him off the board. He trades his life, but that's okay because he's got Nanara on the front line, and now he's won. His team's won.
Yeah, I mean, being able to control it like that. Of course, it helps when you get the triple kill towards the tail end of it, but I feel like a lot of it, again, is just buying control back. Na'Vi are able to hold on to whatever they need to. And now, I mean, Mutu's getting aggressive. Creative's getting aggressive. They're getting in the face of NIP. And I feel like we've found the combo so far today in Europe that is just almost impossible to deal with because of the space they can create. And Nara and Ruckus, I think, are very phenomenal front lines. And it's actually part of the reason, I mean, you roll back Paladins about a year to when I was like starting to pick it up. I was in the Global Series, right? I learned with Ruckus being one of the top picks overall. Woo! And the only thing he's lost is just a little bit of damage reduction.
Just got a little hot in here, Gore. Woo! Got a little hot in here. Oh! Ah! Ow!
Just keeps turning up the heat.
You can see Mutu is definitely in a zone, and so is Na'Vi. Man, they did not like getting tied, did they?
4
that was fast.
Deaths across 4 players. 8-1 and 5, 5-1 and 8. Being able to mirror each other. Mutu and Phoenix are looking incredibly good. Although the damage is still in favor, in a certain way, of NIP. 4 members of Na'Vi are sitting in positions 3 through 7.
Yeah.
So you're giving up top damage, but you have a lot of consistent performers. NIP, it feels like they just didn't have ground to stand on.
I appreciate the blast shields, too, coming through from creatives. I mean, just call it as you see it. It's like buying an Illuminate against the Strix or a Sky. You're like, you've won, you've done it, like, you have been a problem enough. And I don't know about this decision, Koa. What was that?
He left his field of immortality. Like, you have a circle. Don't leave the circle.
He might have been disengaged out, but
I feel like he dashed.
I just don't know what that was. I don't know why even the high ground didn't even matter that much, in my opinion. I think you need to save that for when tides start to turn against you. Maybe just to stabilize, maybe to hold off. I mean, what a rough use of that ultimate. I mean, this whole point fight should be over just because of that. I mean, that's demoralizing.
I think I know why Na'Vi picked Splitstone Core to go to after that last game. It definitely seems like they not only know the map, but being able to play, again, their meta, their composition on this kind of map has locked NIP down. Like, it feels as though maybe not even bad decisions are coming out of NIP. They just don't know how to fight it. They don't know what position to take to deal with it.
Yeah.
Even when they do occasionally win a fight, it hasn't felt like it's been enough to change the game.
And the thing that I like about NIP and these guys, right, and with Na'Vi, is they don't give up. So look, they've just won it back. They have comeback mechanic. I mean, that was a very smart play to retake. They allowed Koa's mistake to just be that. It was Koa's mistake. They fall back. It didn't go well execution-wise. Idea might have been sound. Not against that too much. We haven't heard what they were thinking. But they just fall and they collapse and they die quickly, and then they're like, let's just get one more chance at it. And they let the comeback mechanic do its thing. Bonker finds a couple now. Koa gets back in his rhythm. NIP are playing like championship contenders, believing in themselves, knowing that, hey, we got wiped. All right, back to the drawing board. That's not the end. We're not a bad team now. We're gonna give them our heavyweight punch, and it's gonna be twice as hard.
Did we actually glance at the items once again? Because one thing that Lazy was able to accomplish right there, and I'm kind of curious. Okay, no, he doesn't have it. So he took a Dread Servant to the face and just kind of shrugs it off. And that's something that we've seen frontlines do because they will run crowd control reduction. But it is just being able to look at Lazy, CC immunity, dropping himself, being able to walk forward.
Shrugs it off.
Almost gets there. He's almost ready. But unfortunately, it is just enough time. And that's admittedly more Inara being slow than anything.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you could have the credits to spare to run Nimble on Inara, I think you would. I think you could. I think if you weren't taking things, you know, so seriously, you'd like to. It feels so much better. But that's why you oftentimes will see the Maldamba Wither. It's just the Mending Spirits. It's so valuable. Right now, that's on the side of NIP. And again, I think that NIP have done a fantastic job of drafting, of banning. It's always been one of their strengths for me until it's not. Until they get a little too good at drafting, and then it's, you know, like we mentioned, the quadra tanks and things like that. They don't quite work. They have ideas, sound maybe, but in application are a lot harder to pull off. But so far, I mean, in this meta, they've clearly shown that they've done their homework.
Yes.
And I think that's all you can really ask for heading into HRX. That, man, you're making improvements until November.
And I was actually mentioning this earlier. There are a lot of teams, and they handle wins and losses differently. The teams at the bottom, obviously, if you lose, you're looking at the fact that, well, you know, we're kind of at the bottom anyway. A loss isn't unexpected. What can we learn from it? What can we pick up? What can we make different so the next time we're not gonna have that kind of outcome?
Yeah.
NIP has always been in this weird area of you can win against the top teams or you could lose. You never really know. You should win against the bottom teams, but you could lose. You never really know. Na'Vi, even though they're a team that is almost always expected to win because of how good they are, whenever they lose, they use that instead as fuel. What did we lose to? Why did we lose to that? How can we do that? Because they are the one team I think we've seen in international play as well as online play take a meta that demolishes them, and then the next day be able to play it at the same level.
Huge moment here. Those are some good shots, and Spunky's dead as a result. Bonker, he did his job. NIP, so close. Phoenix looking to find one. Bird is still alive, and that means that Cruncy has a healer. That means Koa and them are tying it up. NIP make the move, and the move is the groove. Oh, and that groove is smooth. 2-2. But boy, it's hot in here. Oh, it's hot.
Mutu has just been clean.
Absolutely.
This game. Last game, again, it was kind of back and forth, but this one, it definitely feels like he's found home again. And it's very similar again to the last time we saw Na'Vi play. The first two games, you're kind of like, all right, Mutu, where are you?
Yeah.
Second game, Mutu, where are you? Third game, there you are. That's all you needed, is just being able to find those hits again, finding home. Although I will say Diggy Dog, 7-7-7, he's running the lucky numbers
He won
as
the
far
slots.
as things are right now.
He won the lot.
I can't think of a better KDA to be going into this round for.
Yeah, jackpot. Let's see what he does with it. Some people go back and put it all on red. Some people put it into savings. Koa's like, that's the way to do it. And now he has the high ground. And this is the idea. Again, a strong idea. Not the best execution last time. Gonna use a Ying clone, just reset the dashes. Smart by Bonker. Phoenix is an easy target if he can get there, and he cancels his stuff. But, oh, he's gonna go down. Oh, what? No, wow, that was crazy. The rocket burst actually ends up beating out the burst from Androxus, so I guess Team Rocket really is the best.
I feel like Phoenix was just as surprised by that as anybody watching. Like, he hits 109 health,
He's like, here's the
and
kill.
there was a momentary of, oh, I won the fight. I'm not dead. Like, I feel like his mouse was actually going to buy an item at that point.
I'm dead, I'm dead. Wait, no, I'm not dead. Oh, wait, okay, I'm dead now, but I've killed him.
He was ready to go and help cows give birth.
Do you believe that the Van Dupins let cows give birth? Are you kidding me, Phoenix? Not even close. Na'Vi and Mutu, of course, at the side of House Ico, going to clean up a triple kill. It's just a matter of fact. It's not really a question, Gormizer. It's a matter of absolute fact.
It started to turn into Bane at the end of that.
I was born in the Ico.
I feel like that would make a fun con skin.
It's a great concept. You should draw it up.
I am a terrible artist.
Oh, so you can't?
I can't do it.
Oh man.
Let that
Nothing
one
to say.
lay. Let that one lay and be buried
Let
where
that
it was.
one lay.
It can die with all the momentum it had when it came out.
Which was a blistering none. Blistering speed of 0 miles an hour. And Na'Vi here. I mean, it's been a 2-0 to a 2-2. And NIP, I mean, you know, I'm not mad at this draft. I'm not mad at this performance. It was execution-oriented, and maybe that double kill at the end, man. I mean, it's one punch is the difference. That could be the difference. Mutu here as well, finding the triple kills, but after it's all said and done, it's not because of him finding the triple kills that everyone dies. It's because everyone dies that he then ends up being able to find the triple kill.
I feel like there's some circular logic going on here. Either way, you are absolutely right.
Next page. Just kidding.
Was more of a presence, haha, Leon pun, in that game.
That was good.
than we actually got to see. And as weird as it is to say, than when he was on Androxus. His Androxus was a couple of headshots here that make a difference, and then a couple of shots to the left, a couple of shots to the right, not connecting. This time around, he was able to get a lot. 71k damage, but considering, honestly, how quickly that game went by, that's a pretty big number.
Yes.
Still going to be below the Drogos, but a lot of it was when he converted it into kills.
You could say his Androxus did pack quite a punch. Bonker, however, not able to pack a punch as well. 6 and 12, of course, the punch we were talking about. Not the one you'd like served at the Van Dupen ball, I'd say that. It was not a fan favorite.
That's not what Phoenix sounds like.
But when your last name's Van Dupen, I have to make you sound like that. You have to sound that way.
It is a pretty impressive sounding name.
The Van Dupens. I cannot believe you missed out on the party at the Van Dupens last night. My goodman. It was so much to talk about.
Like Mutu's play.
Can you imagine Mutu at a high-class party like that, just absolutely bored out of his mind, saying
with his standard stoic Mutu face?
He'd blend perfectly in, but if anyone ever came to talk to him, he'd only talk to like the bartender, be like, "Yeah, I'll have another."
One more.
One more.
I don't know why I gave him a Russian accent.
Double. Maggie double. why are you doing this, man? Listen, Europe, we're not mad. We're just bad at accents, okay? I love EU. I love Van Dupens. But again, Mutu, here's the thing. This is what's happening. You see that front line collapsing. We're going to actually be serious for a second. And the front line, the first part of the fight collapses. And when you talk about champions and you allow all this stuff on the battlefield, you have an Androxus, you have a Drogos, you have a Leon, you have all these threats that can snowball fights. I mean, even a Ruckus who is unchecked, untethered, can actually snowball the rest of a fight. And a champion like Mutu, who's playing a champion like Leon, can actually just finish off those 3 kills if she gets some space, if she gets some room, if she doesn't have pressure. And that's what Navi were really good at, just having the pressure throughout the game. And as we head into Game 4, it's going to be important for them to keep the pressure, and it's going to be important for NIP to try to slow it down, to give themselves as much of a chance as possible. We've seen the wins go with the Leon and with the Ruckus again and again and again, and this one plays the same way.
How interesting would it be
Yeah.
if first ban becomes Inara, second ban is Drogos on the other side, and then you hit the Ruckus ban? Like, we travel backwards in time, essentially, to about January, February of this year.
It's always like that.
And if you see that, I want to know where these teams go if you start stripping that away. Jaguar Falls is a good map for pretty much all of those champions. I expect if you can get Inara Ruckus onto the one team, you're going to have an advantage because it just feels so comfortable. It's at home on this map.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point the con ban is just to be like, so we can get an Aura.
So that you can't play it.
Yeah, you can't play it, exactly. There she is.
Now
That's
Navi
where she
grab
should
Makoa.
be right now. And I like that it's Makoa, but that might be the biggest trap out of all. I mean, give EU Makoa available in a draft, and it's just kind of like a dog and a bone. It's like,
And
wait,
Ruckus comes through here.
Makoa's available? And they're going to take it no matter what. So they don't take the Ruckus. They give an Ruckus. So we'll see how much the Drogos matters. We haven't seen that be the win condition for NIP versus Fnatic for every match. But so far with NIP and Navi, that's where you go. There's a stupid show that keeps saying follow the cheese, like a mouse in a mouse in a maze. And basically wherever they move the cheese, the mouse goes as well. NIP following the cheese here with the Inara and the Ruckus. That's the prize. And they're moving with it. My vote's on them so far. I like their draft.
Unless, and I'm assuming it's going to be Mutu on
I don't
Drogos.
mind the Leon.
Creatives on Leon, I would assume is the way Navi is going to be able to split it. Unless Mutu has a perfect game as Drogos. And I mean picture perfect. The example that you would give to literally any Paladins player as to what you should play like when you are Drogos. I just do not see this going as in favor of Navi. I feel like this is a great map for him. I feel like it gives him a lot of control. But I feel like he doesn't have enough presence on his own. Leon doesn't have enough presence on her own to actually buy the point back if they lose
What she will do is when we saw the Inara and the Ruckus go towards the side of NIP, what we saw Bugsy and them shift towards was a Leon list ban, a Leon list draft, which was actually the Maeve instead on this map. So What's interesting to me is that they at least go for the anti-heal, and maybe it doesn't stop it, but it will at least put a hold onto it and slow it down. Remember, beating this Inara, beating this Ruckus, it's about slowing it down so you give yourself a chance. And it's not just 80% on the objective before you blink.
You cracked open an idea eggshell, and I'm kind of curious.
An idea eggshell. Look at that.
To know what your feelings would be on trading the Barrack out for a Mave, so you have the anti-heal and the execute.
You know, I like the double front line.
Okay.
I think you need another role to match this Ruckus, and I think so far, Leon may have just been the thing that Fnatic didn't play that might have made all the difference. Also, I mean, you have to look at the fact that no Furia, no Maldamba on the side of the Inara, which might have also been the bigger key. The Ying, though, Life Exchange, you can't say that's a problem. It's just 75% now for Na'Vi, and now they have the zone potential. They've got the dismount potential. They take the right side. But now Tiki Dog's coming in from the back. Oh, but Koa's just kind of getting hooked out of position there.
And honestly, I think it just doesn't matter when it comes down to it. And the 1v1, or maybe the 2v1, with the way things were sitting, Lazy, as well as creatives, can just kind of pincer everybody locked down. But they're going to lose a little bit of control. They're going to be sitting there, overtime's ticking, but that's still 99%. Na'Vi have the advantage here.
Yeah.
They just have to figure out how to get rid of Cruncy, and as long as time keeps rolling for them, they'll eventually hit that point.
And those last 25 seconds, you were talking, Gore, and then I began looking at this fight. Who was on the point? It was Ruckus. That's why when you have a Maeve in the triple DPS and you're having a Nara and you have she can't stand on the point like that. She might be able to take overtime in, but the Ruckus, the secondary front line is so valuable because the second a Nara does go down, you have someone who can rotate in. And that's where Barrack, damage-wise, could not compete. Ruckus was burning the shields. He was bursting him down, slowly but surely whittling through that health pool, which, by the way, Dampener 5, apparently, from Cruncy, 4150 health, 6500 effectively once the shield comes through. I mean, that's a tanky boy. Dampener 1. Oh. Never mind. That's right.
Instead, I'm actually looking more towards field reserves, distance of advance. And that one's actually pretty interesting to me because a lot of people might not remember at this point, but a while ago, the distance you could go vertically as well as I think horizontally on Ruckus's dashes were reduced. And so this is going to give you a feel that I think is going to be a little bit more akin to what Ruckus used to be able to accomplish, which is why Cruncy is able to make such big sweeping movements.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sweeping movements don't really help when Barrack is just killing all of your team. You're going down first.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at repositioning for a Hexafire later in the game, that's going to be the perfect way to get from not anywhere in sight to right in their face where you need to be.
Oh, and look at this, true power. Cruncy finds creatives as a result of that, forces them all back. NIP making this Talus work, man, and it is totally shaking things up as well. This is like my favorite thing about watching them is that they're not only taking the right stuff from the meta and using it whenever it's available to them, and you can't help who gets first pick, right? I mean, you can't help who gets first map pick, because in a best of 5, if you go all 5, somebody's going to get an advantage at first pick, and it may not be you. So every time they've got their first pick, they've taken the Nara and the Ruckus, they've made it work. But then they bring in the Talus, and it's being successful, and that's what I love watching these teams. Implement a little bit of your style onto what's working and make it your own. Try to control the meta, not copy it. Fantastic job thus far in filling in Cruncy into these roles. I mean, he has not missed a beat, has he, Gore?
I mean, being able to step right into it is already impressive just in terms of the PPL, but being able to step right into it and have a performance like this, not only against Fnatic, but against Na'Vi in a row, is phenomenal. Being able to get picked up, and again, I think it just showcases why NIP were looking at Cruncy to be able to pick him up. Unfortunately, he goes down right there, but it's just been such a, not necessarily seamless pickup, but it definitely is as close to seamless as I think you could actually get.
I mean, they, think about it, right? If they have a triple DPS, ask, and it has to happen. Cruncy, Koa, good players, but are they able to match Phoenix? Are they able to match some of these guys? I mean, let's look at that added in the North American side as well. I mean, I think Clicky's one of the best flexes that we have onto that third DPS when it comes to my mind for Leons and things of that nature. Renegade's not having their best time. But I mean, I look at these things and I say, maybe it's just the luck of the draw that they grabbed a guy who was great on these off tanks.
Point spawning in 15
and they're just using off tanks a lot in this meta. And it's gone away from that triple DPS being the king.
Yeah.
And was it ever the king, or was it ever just Fnatic's thing?
And I think that's actually what it was. Is Fnatic were so good with it, everyone else has to play it kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, the best way to beat this is with that. Unfortunately, if you're the best at that, then when you're playing the same thing, again, it's going to lean in favor of Fnatic. Now, you get this double frontline strategy, which, again, was strong. This is probably the typical Paladins kind of composition, right? You get 2 front lines, 1 support, and then 2 damage dealers, 1 usually hit scan, then a blaster, maybe a flank, something to fill out the road.
Oh, man, Mutu finds Crunchy there. Almost hits the fire spit, but he will Rune of Travel back in time. Dragon Punch and 7 a streak for Mutustina. 24% on the objective for Na'Vi. Still a 1-1. NIP with the first capture. And there's a Dome Shield as well. Creative's getting in the back line, getting in the thick of things. Hopefully he's got the Rune of Travel, and he does. But Bonker's right back into the action, and Enlightenment going for the 180 no-scope. I mean, just didn't have a good target. Still works out.
Going to be able to get a couple kills, point control, but last time they got to 99 before it got stalled. This time it looks like it might go to 100 before they truly get stalled. You're going to see the ult come through, True Power, just to get some space back.
Wow.
But NIP are back on the point, and they do get rid of Phoenix.
Look at that. I mean, True Power to get the overtime. Buys time for Koa to get right back in there. Seismic Crash as well. Bonker played a fantastic role for this team, but Lazy and Mutu and Spunky have just battled back, man. They are so determined to win this objective. A beautiful sun as well. Crunchy can't stand up to this, especially with a healer, and Phoenix coming back with an Ancient Rage. Natus Vincere in the lead for the first time this map.
A lot having to be committed from NIP to not get anywhere near as much ground as they wanted to. And it's just that awkward feeling. There were a couple of moments where it's just nothing necessarily getting countered out, but you have a Hexafire come through. Doesn't really feel like it accomplishes much. Dragon Punch, on the other hand, sets up a lot. Drogo's this entire fight was being able to get a lot of damage spread out. Spunky being able to get everyone topped off. The fact that Phoenix didn't have his Ancient Rage used throughout all of that just is a testament to Na'Vi.
I agree. I think it shows the dominance of that point fight and the initial aggression that they were able to apply. And when Makoa is winning, I mean, boy, is he winning. 1 minute, 42 seconds now. Na'Vi on the push. Creative's trying to line up this Leon anti-heal. Every weapon shot with this talent, Death and Taxes, just applies Cauterize 3 from the get-go, and it's a huge dampener onto the sustain that Inara's had. And you know what? You're crazy to think, but yes, against the healthiest tank in the world, anti-heal's pretty good.
And you look at our understudy right now. Ruckus is the one, I guess, falling behind this Inara. And not only is anti-heal pretty good, but the fact that you get to buy Wrecker because you have all that anti-heal makes it even better. And I think that's part of the reason when you go back and, like you said, look at kind of what Fnatic were running.
Yeah.
Where they grabbed the Mave there. I like the idea of an Execute. I think the Execute is a good thought process, but I think it's, in practice, not going to work as well because of how low you have to get them initially for the Execute to even matter. You have to go into your Cauterize, or you have to choose to be Wrecker as Mave, whereas here, Creatives just essentially gets the best of both worlds.
It does truly seem like the perfect counter to an Inara Ruckus, if you can actually get it going. And you can keep it alive. And so far, Natus Vincere have done a good job of protecting Creatives on that. And he's played it 2 games in a row, which is another big aspect. NIP now backs against the wall. 3-1. Natus Vincere can win the set right here, ladies and gentlemen, with that push. Bonker trying his best. There's a Dome Shield and a Dread Serpent. Mutu, Creatives, they're going to find a couple kills. Mutu's going to snowball. I think this is NIP backing off. Full reset. But they've already got 35% on the objective.
How much of that was NIP backing off and NIP being kind of forced to back off?
Oh, this
looks
is
like Na'Vi holding control, streaks burning high. Ults used, though, so they do, once again, only have the Ancient Rage, whereas on the other side, some of these ults are starting to come up. It's not going to be anything crazy impactful, but Ying right here might make the big difference.
And I like Bird shepherding the Inara. It's just a little bit of damage. It forces the Inara not. And look at this, Creatives goes down. It was a big risk for Creatives to try to zone that way, but he goes down, and they take the risk. It doesn't pay off. Spunky now under the ire of Bonker's overpower, and just the headshots from the basic submachine gun are going to do it. That's the Veracharger in action, ladies and gentlemen. Blitz upper as well over onto the staircase, and I think this is going to be a zone with a combat mechanic. The guarantees NIP are not out of it yet.
The payload.
I mean, all 4 ults that became available were used, and they were used, again, just tastefully.
Yeah.
Exactly the way you need them to be used, and exactly the scenarios you need to control it, being able to find it. It was a little interesting to see Bonker go for the kind of the uppercut over the wall on Barrick, but still being able to create some zone, create
Teenage
control.
angst. What can you say?
And it's just the perfect, again, approach, I think, from NIP to be able to get back in there. You have comeback mechanic. There's no huge rush. You just have to make sure Na'Vi don't control it.
What's great is that they got the 30% too. You know, they really did, and they held on to that. And of course, they're trying to get as much capture as possible during the time that you are coming back. And I think that's what makes it so easy. That, you know, there's no easy front line. I mean, imagine Barrick walking that right side path. You know, he might get bursted. He actually just might die. And Inara is just able to be so tanky in that process. Luckily, the ultimate's at 92% as he starts walking. And so he has the seismic crash to stall it out. Bird ends up shepherding the Inara as well. Like a very good baby in a manger, except this time the baby is 7'5" and unkillable. And he ends up making sure that she gets to where she needs to go.
Push not going quite as well, I think, as NIP would want it, not getting exactly where they wanted to go. And this has just been a good old-fashioned hold from Na'Vi. 90% on the Ancient Rage, 98% now on that Dome Shield, ticking into 100. So as long as you can hold on to some of these ults, both teams inevitably will be looking at this last minute of, do we pop them, do we hold them? Because either way, Na'Vi are looking at one more round no matter what.
And you know what was big about that too? I mean, the fact that the first person that died was Creatives, which is the anti-heal. And so I think that's another big component to this. And Creative staying alive is really the key for Na'Vi. They need to protect him. And I know he got a little excited to hold that left-hand corner, and it was a good risk. I think it's a risk if he had another chance to do it, would try to take, because if he does stop them, it's game over. They win. And this is Bird giving up because he knows they just want to respond as 5. They have 23 seconds. With mounts, can they make it? Diggy Dog's already around the corner, but he will get dismounted here from the fire spin and hooked away, and that should be a kill. That's probably going to be the push, but we'll see.
I mean, 10 seconds left. Koa dismounted at the tail end. Crunchy dismounted at the tail end. I don't think they have enough. Even if they touch for overtime,
he can touch.
If it's going to be enough. I mean, Koa is so incredibly
what a
low.
hook.
There's a good
What a hook.
Whether or not you touched it didn't matter. He was so close to death. And I actually like the way that NIP approached that. Take it patiently. You have one more round no matter what. Don't waste any ults. Don't waste any effort. If you don't think you can get it, hold on. Because all you have to do is capture this next point. Have a comeback mechanic, and then if you can find the push after that, that's the push you need to be looking for.
This is what's dangerous. Let's bring up the credit score. We'll take a look at
whether 700s all around.
Yeah, whether these guys can buy houses or
paying
not.
their bills
if we do
on
take
time.
a look at the net worth, for sure, though, I think it will tell a story in that slowly but surely. Although, you know, Na'Vi have done well in this game and are leading. NIP is starting to creep up in there. And now if they win another objective, all those blue numbers are going to pop up by 300 ahead of where they are now. And Na'Vi are going to be in a deficit credit-wise, but they're going to have a chance to lose this game without responding until the round afterwards.
About 1,000 gap from top to bottom.
Oh, that's
which honestly
big!
Is probably one of the most health economies you can have with Phoenix getting aggressive going around. Mutu looking for a punch. Can he find anyone? No, he just falls back.
And that's also big. I mean, nothing happened as a result of that, Bonker. Maybe waiting that out as well. True power is available. He might just be saving it, because they have to get back in. He is the one who can stall the overtime, even if he dies. So maybe the play is play aggressive now, try to get a kill, and this is the play. He forces the Ancient Rage. Crunchy goes in the Hexafire, and now Crunchy is getting the ire of Phoenix. He swings the anchor, and oh, no. But still, remember, Bonker has that true power. He did save it, so he's going to be able to jump back in. There it is.
Going to come through. Who's he targeting? He actually flies across the map, going for creatives.
Wow.
I know he gets the touch, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Koa drops down, but now they're just dropping like flies.
And that, I think, Gormizer is going to do it. A valiant effort from NIP, but not as Vincere. They finally do it. They beat the Inara.
You know what?
What?
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it too. I mean, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with you taking that one. It's NIP. If today had gone wrong for them, if they lose to Fnatic, they lose to Na'Vi, it's not unexpected, but the fact that they come out with a win against Fnatic showcases that they are making the right steps in the right direction, especially compared to the summer split.
Yeah.
So being able to come through, even if that one wasn't your performance, take that game, watch it back, and figure out what went wrong. What were our issues?
Man.
And I think a lot of it does come down to less what did we make mistakes, but what did Na'Vi do right?
Yeah, Na'Vi played really well, and 19-6 onto the creatives.
17-3 on Lazy.
I mean, you're talking about guys that are just having a major impact, and this is where you look at it and say, yes, it was maybe everything perfect except execution. There's one thing that, they might have just turned up the dial to 11, and Na'Vi just put on superb performances. And maybe it was something draft-oriented that they could have stopped. Maybe there was a way to avoid creatives getting this Leon 2 games in a row. Maybe there's a way to avoid some of the impact he had.
And I tell you, I didn't notice that his damage number was 101k throughout all of that. And that, again, comes down to what Leon was contributing. Anti-heal against Inara, but a lot of wrecker damage going into this Ruckus, being able to cause not only anti-heal onto him, but get rid of his shield every single time. There wasn't a point where I think Cruncy felt truly safe.
Yeah, and I mean, Phoenix as well on the Makoa. I'm telling you, Makoa just gives Europe nightmares. It's rare that you see the cheese follow the turtle nowadays, because he's sometimes not even, for the most of his time, has not been allowed to be played. But recently, with just the abundance of ban-worthy champions, the draft has had to open up. It has had to be something that people adjust to and don't just say, this is not going to get played, this is not going to be available. It's really cool because I think we're seeing these players start to adapt in ways that, shows us an evolution of what Paladins means and what it can mean in the future for this game. Na'Vi continue to be perfect. 4-0 and Envy 3-0 at the top, and we'll see if that sustains this week, as they will be tested yet again.
Shoutouts to the first Esports Weekly of the split, where the 2 teams I gave as my teams to potentially win Worlds were Na'Vi and Envy, and now I just jinxed it. So go ahead and take that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, That's you. That's all you. Cast or curse yourself. Wow, the irony.
Is this table made of wood?
G2 Esports and Envy. Doubleheader against SK. SK have a lot to prove tomorrow, but again, Splice had a lot to prove, and boy, that was exciting last week. So I think it's going to be spicy. And of course, if you want to see what happens, how this all unfolds, just buy your tickets for the event now. HiResExpo.com. You can grab tickets for the biggest event of the year at DreamHack Atlanta. If you've never been to a DreamHack, actually, it's pretty cool. A lot of players, a lot of people just playing games, sitting around, watching great esports, hanging out. I love the vibe. I've been to 2 of them, and so this will be my 3rd. And of course, the after party afterwards, where you get to hang out with all the people you see on camera, a lot of the pro players, a lot of people who are a part of Hi-Rez, and really just enjoy the community of individuals that love these games the way that you do.
It's a great way to see everybody relaxed, right? If you're talking to your favorite pro and it's game day, they're probably not going to be anywhere near as in that conversation as they are at the after party. They're going to have a couple drinks going, so they're going to be super relaxed and being able to come forward. So that's definitely something I recommend.
All right, well, we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're leaving this shot, but we'll be over in a shot across the studio for Gather Round to talk about what happened today in the incredible performance of NIP, the fall of Fnatic, and the continued dominance of Na'Vi. See you in a sec.
I'm still never going to get tired of that. And I'm not going to get tired of Gather Round, at least not yet, the way things have been going.
When we gather around
This is Gather Round, post-show for the PPL. And again, joining me is Rain Day Pretty here. Happy birthday once again.
Real
I'm going to say it as many
times as we salute you.
All right, first topic, guys.
Mr.
MandRG
Facebook Paladins
in
viewer.
chat. 3-0 Fnatic need new players. LOL. What do we think?
Actually,
Agree?
that's kind of funny. The first thing I wrote down was Fnatic lose?
Disagree. Hardcore. But that's been Fnatic's problem. I mean, that's been Europe's problem. When things go wrong, some people just give up rosters. Sometimes you get a light at the end of the tunnel, but I think these guys need to lose. Just get okay with losing, man. Life is about losing sometimes so you can learn how to win. It is about taking an L. It really is. And I think it's hard for guys who have been at the top to get that. It's hard. But once you do and you settle into it, you take so much pressure off, man.
Yeah.
You know what it's like to
That's
lose.
true.
You know, you're just like, man, okay. And now I just work hard. Now I just do what I need to do. And you grit it up. You're not afraid of that.
One of the things that I had said about Na'Vi when I was talking to Finch about it earlier, and I was just like, the thing that Na'Vi can do with a loss is they turn it into, how do we make this strategy work for us? Or how do we turn that around into a victory later? How do we use this scenario if it comes up again?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what Fnatic need to do in this kind of scenario is look at what caused them to lose, look at how badly they lost because it was a 3-0, and figure out how to pick that back up.
That Frog Isle game was especially funny, but obviously a lot of good moments before that as well. And another thing I think I want to touch on today is Inara for sure. She loses one game overall today. And when it's all said and done, it felt like, especially on Frog Isle, that even though it was 3 front lines, that's how Fnatic used to look like playing 3 DPS on Frog Isle. They would just gas pedal, push people back into their spawn door. But this time, it was them that was trapped.
And notably, no Tyra in the set with Na'Vi. NIP used it to great effect. I liked it. I thought it was a great way to
banned it out, actually, after that.
And then, you know, we just didn't see it in the Na'Vi set. And I don't know whether it was just lack of comfort. It couldn't have been the lack of, you know, comfort to play it, but it might have just been feeling like the draft made it uncomfortable to pick the Tyra into. And a lot of respect given to Na'Vi, you know, but I wonder if that would have changed something, if that might have kept the ball rolling. But Leon seemed to be the great kind of pick that worked really well for Na'Vi to just shut down the Inara, slow her down, and ultimately get that win in the last game.
I've got to ask, do we need to be worried about the return of triple frontline? Is that going to become a thing again, or are we going to safely avoid it?
Maybe against Fnatic, right? Because I think the counter to when we saw these front lines has always been you take more front lines, sometimes we'll take more damage or we'll take more healing to counter out the front lines. And I think that against Fnatic, who love the triple DPS and have shown they haven't been able to flex well onto a traditional 2 front line with this roster of Bittner and Fasheko, that they may try to exploit it. And NIP, I think we're just playing chess. Fnatic were playing checkers at that point. Like, they just had better drafts and executed them well.
Yeah, I think that was not only that triple front line comes out, but that was also a pretty weird draft from Fnatic, like the likes of which we've never really seen before in terms of like who's playing what. No blasters at all. Fishy was playing the hit scan. Tenor was on Barrack. So I think that has a good bit to do with it. That's one of those sets you could look back and say that game may have been lost in game 2. Or that set may have been lost after game number 2. I don't really know if that was the real bounce back attempt. Like that was Fnatic giving it their all and leaving it all on the field, so to speak.
Yeah.
It felt just, I mean, you watched it. You saw how chaotic that felt. And like it's just like you didn't know what was going on by the end of it.
It did go back to the Inara, though, because it was available. They could have picked the Inara in that moment. And they decided, I don't know what they picked. I forgot what they picked, but Inara was available and they passed on it. So that was another interesting just decision.
Would you say, so we got to see a triple frontline game, but when it comes down to it, I think we saw 2 front lines the most, one notably won pretty much every single game except that very last one. Inara was very prevalent in this set. She became very highly prioritized, especially towards the end of the day. Do you think it was solely her, or was she just a bigger or a smaller piece of the big puzzle that was we have a frontline that can't die?
I think it's so weird that she is like so rarely banned, in my opinion, for how highly prioritized and how critical I think of a role she serves. Like Terminus was used to be like that guy that balanced her out.
That's what I was gonna say.
But now there's nothing to balance her out, and that's like the type of champion that it feels like you ban out.
You're completely right, and I think that everyone is just like watching a problem become a problem because it was like good and evil, and in that magic book, that story, that fantasy novel where, you know, evil gets released or good gets released, but then it releases the evil as well, and there's like these 2 forces fighting. It's like, really, man, evil went, you know, good went to sleep and evil is still there. And they need something to balance it. I think everyone just saying Terminus sucks and like moving on from that, it definitely has opened the gates for Inara to just flood through and dominate the front line. No one does what she does, except Terminus. And he's very difficult to do it.
And I think instead of banning it, people like have gone to the Willows and Leons to try and just balance it out, like keep a lid on it. But even that, man, it's practice versus on paper, especially when it comes to like Willow and stuff. It's like there's so many times where like a single uncauterized heal that comes through, it's almost game over, dude. It's a whole rounds and rounds of cooldowns that take to get Inara to that like low HP. Maybe we can kill her off position, and then you mess that up once and it's all gone.
Do you think it even matters like who she gets paired with? Like a lot of the time today we saw her and Ruckus kind of holding up. I think her and Khan would be a great matchup, but do you think there's anyone that you can really put as like the off tank for Inara that is going to be like, man, that's a bad choice?
I think that off tanks for Inara are always going to be more towards the offensive side because you're flexing a lineup that gives you the ability to just have a little tankiness, but also contribute if somebody runs a triple DPS or just have more damage to burst somebody down. That's why Barrack is. He chunks with Tinkerin. That's why Ruckus is. He's got burst with his rocket launch. I mean, Ruckus is really just a better Barrack, but a little less defensive because you're really building Barrack for resets, poke potential, and a burst, right? But then a lot of times I find that Ruckus does that job a little bit better if he's played well. And so, man, I mean, we don't have another tank like that. There's just really not another tank like Inara. There's not, except Terminus. Not another Ruckus except kind of Barracky, right? So, unless people are going to start bringing out Fernando more consistently, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it just feels like Inara, right now. The conversation, no matter what you pair with it, it's always around how Inara makes that job easier to do. Like, I think it was in the PGS earlier today that it made this Barrack look really good just because it was like he gets set up guaranteed every single time. And it's like, yeah, Barrack looks good in that situation, but it's still Inara sort of doing that heavy lifting. I think against her, I mean, you've got your Dragon Punch and like your Overpower and stuff where, and again, like you looked at that Ascension peak when Koa was getting staggered out. It's like she is so strong, but has those moments where she just looks so helpless.
Yeah.
Or if she's getting overpowered off a map or staggered off. And, you know, that is the good yin and yang to the champion. I think that she does suck in situations that she wasn't designed to succeed in. Like she's useless when she's not like fighting on the objective.
Yeah, there's a lot of safe supports right now, too. There's a lot of healing. There's a lot of self-healing. Furious cards heal her a ridiculous amount for just using Kindle Soul. I mean, Ying is pretty tough to get through, especially with just the clones. It's a rough kind of world to shut down one of the aspects of either the sustain or the healing in Paladins. I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out how to do.
Do you think that because NIP was heavily prioritizing Drogos, like it worked out for them relatively well, but do you think that kind of brought them down a little bit in terms of their draft because they wanted it so badly?
Not today, but I think it could in the future. I think anytime you find that thing, and we talked about that thing maybe being Inara for Na'Vi, they ended up beating it just once today. It's when they have Drogos Makoa, and you know, Drogos, I think his strongest map in my opinion is Jaguar Falls. I think Makoa does very, very well here as well. I think you look at those two things, that's a big part of why they were able to finally take down Inara, but even then it was a fight.
Great Dragon Punch here. I remember seeing this from the other perspective. Maybe we'll find it. I mean, it was just it was probably a couple of things. It was Fnatic just collapsing today, and I think it was a long time coming. And NIP had been so hungry. I mean, this is so hungry this week.
Well, they also were able to. I mean, Diggy Dog showing just a couple clips there, but like when they were able to grab it so far, and this goes for last week as well, even week one. Drogos is phenomenal for this team. It works so well, but I think that's the case for a lot of teams. There's always that one guy that's like, give me the Drogos that is going to look fantastic, and that's the case we kind of saw at the end of the day when it's like Mutu grabbing Drogos. As long as you can scoop that away from Na'Vi or from NIP, it definitely seemed like some of their core was a little shakier than normal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is where I probably look at a lot of people are going to go back to the drawing board draft-wise, because I think this is something that people are really starting to figure out, that these picks are determining whether you win the game, really. The Inaras, the Ruckus, and the Drogos, and where that goes is really being the decider. And the Leon, really. I mean, I like that NIP brought the Talus out. I thought that was a good choice for them. I think if they can keep that working, it's something they'll have in their pocket that not really anyone else is using.
Yeah, not many people for sure. I think Diggy's kind of like head and shoulders on the Drogos above the rest of his champion pool. You know, Cassian Leon is like kind of in there, but I think developing him and getting those other champions up to speed will help NIP not need to grab that as early, but it's tough to... It's lining up very well for them right now because it's hard to pass up Drogo in the first 3 picks in a draft. It's very difficult to do that, especially when it's very easy to justify. Then you have not only this incredibly powerful character, but one of your superstar players. It is his best character, inarguably. So it's kind of an easy choice for NIP at the moment. It could become a weakness down the line. You never really know.
Well, I'd say it's kind of a sad note to end on the fact that they lost, I guess, to Na'Vi, but it's a happy note for NIP being able to pick up that win against Fnatic and what it's done for Europe. I mean, do you guys see this changing anything for the future of the split, or is this just kind of a maybe one and done occurrence?
I can't wait to see Virtus Pro later on this week. I think that's going to tell us a lot, and I think NIP are going to continue to be threats. I don't know if they'll pick up more wins. I mean, I expect Fnatic to be fully into the homework for how to beat NIP if they. I don't know if was that their second time meeting. I mean, that might have been it.
Yes.
So they really they're too late. So NMP got that.
Who did
one.
VIP play this week? I can't remember off the top of my head.
VP they might play.
I think they play tomorrow. Well, I can't remember the matchup.
No,
they
play
play
Thursday. NIP again? Do they play NIP again? Mouse Sports. I know they play Mouse Sports.
Oh.
And they also might play Navi.
Well, anyway, I mean, like
double
now,
header.
British Pro Navi, I
that's
think.
Yeah, Navi and Mouse.
it's hard to. It's
I know
hard.
it can't change.
I'm not giving the death sentence to Fnatic by any means, but with Virtus Pro continuing to improve week in and week out, this is what we saw, right? We saw NIP was close the first time they met, and then they beat him. They 3-0'd him the second time they met. The same thing is happening with Virtus Pro. They are getting better. It wasn't exactly as close the first time they met because I think NIP were just a little bit further off the starting block, so to speak. But I think, that gap is going to continuously close here. I don't know if it's going to be a 5-set barn burner victory for Virtus Pro, but I think, now that conversation has to come about. Can Virtus Pro beat them? And then if Virtus Pro beat them, can Mouse Sports beat them, right? You have to start wondering how far is this fall going to be. We had this conversation with NIP as well when they started to lose. They started to slip up a little bit. They were up at the top. They had to kind of hit rock bottom and rebuild.
Well, I'd say successful day, I think, overall for NIP. I mean, you come through, you still make it look close against Navi, and you beat Fnatic. So I think in the future, they're definitely a team to keep your eye on. But that's only day one of this week. We actually have more sets, pretty much exactly like this one, set up for the rest of the week. I'm relatively excited to see it. But of course, we have to get there first, since today was the first day. Tomorrow will be Name It number 2. You can tune in at 3 p.m. as always in order to watch this thing. 2:50 if you want to be able to watch the pre-show and get our thoughts before the games as things are going to go. But thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.